Hi, this is Jamie from Stonemeyer Games, and I am here today to talk about my favorite game mechanism in Merchants and Marauders. Merchants and Marauders is among the many games that I played for the first time at Geekway to the West a few weeks ago. This one was taught to me by one of our ambassadors, a guy named Sam, and I played it with my friend Joe and Scott, and I had a great time playing it. It was a long-ish game. I think it took us like 3 or 4 hours to play. But it was a learning game, so we were learning a lot as we played. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the game. I mean, it's a game where you can play a pick up and deliver aspect of it, like you're going from port to port, picking up goods, selling goods, trading goods, and achieving glory that way. You can also, there's a lot of potential combat, either between you or units on the board that aren't controlled by any player, NPCs. Which in general I do like NPCs because I don't always, I rarely like targeting other players for combat in games, but NPCs I don't really feel bad about that. And when you get lucky against an NPC, you know it feels good, whereas against another player you kind of, it doesn't feel the same way to me. But my favorite game mechanism in Merchants and Marauders is actually a mod that Sam added to the game. So apparently in the base game, this mod is not in the game. In the base game, you can pick one specific thing to do and get really good at that one thing and just do that same thing over and over and get all your glory to trigger the end of the game and win the game. But Sam added a really clever mod that it was the first game that we'd ever played, so I think Sam thinks pretty highly of this mod, and I do now too. And the mod basically is a checklist of different ways you can get glory, but it limits you as to the amount of glory that you can get from each of those things. It's been a few weeks, so I'll try to remember it, and I don't know where the mod is online, but like the pick up and deliver aspect, instead of just doing that the whole game, I think you can only get 3 glory from doing that. You can only get, a lot of the categories had 3 on it, like you can get 3 glory, I think, for like winning a battle. There were a few that were, like if you upgraded your ship to the top level, I think you got a glory, things like that. The overall idea here is that I love that it forced me to diversify, which I don't always like in games. Sometimes I like the complete freedom to choose my own path in that way. But I still felt like I had a lot of choice here because I was choosing which ones of these I wanted to do first. And the moment that I realized that this was my favorite mechanism was about like 75% of the way through the game, where I had gotten really good at pick up and deliver. I had figured that out. I was fully embracing it. I was having fun because I wasn't attacking other players. And I was doing really well at it. And then I maxed it out. And I was like, all right, well, and there was this moment where I was like, okay, I've completed that goal, which felt good, but I also now have to choose what to do next because I have to figure out some other ways to get glory. So I had to map out this whole other strategy. It was almost like 2 separate games where I had completed one game and now I needed to start a new game. And it's a little hard to describe why I really enjoyed that, but it stretched me a little bit, and it forced me out of my comfort zone and made me make some interesting decisions that kind of went against my character as a gamer because I had to then attack somebody, and I found out that I could just attack one of the NPC ships instead of attacking another player to achieve the goal that I wanted to do, which I did. But that was, I loved that moment where I could no longer just do the one thing that I had learned to do well. I really had to diversify and try out some other things. And the game allowed me to play for about half of the game, maybe 75% of the game, with that strategy that felt good and right and comfortable to me until the point where it came where I really had to diversify. And by that point, I understood the game well enough that I could make some interesting decisions from that thing. Because I often do that in games. I often, when I'm learning a game, I'll figure out one of the ways to get points, and I'll do that thing, and I'll try to get good at it, and I'll do it over and over. And then maybe on a future play of the game, I'll diversify and try something new. But for that first game, I don't even care about all of the rules. I just care about that one sector of the game so I can learn it, and then I'm like paying attention to the other rules, especially in a very complex game. And And Merchants and Marauders gave me that experience, but within the same game. I didn't have to play it again to learn those different ways to get points. So I really like that mod. I don't know why they chose not to put it in the base game, but I'm glad it exists out there. And if I ever played Merchants and Marauders again, I would definitely play with that mod. So I'm curious what you think. If you have either a favorite game mechanism in Merchants and Marauders, or you have, or your favorite game that has an element of diversification in it, a game that forces you to diversify instead of just following one path to victory the whole time. I look forward to seeing your thoughts in the comments. Thanks.